In December of 1941, shortly after the attack of Pearl Harbor, two of my great uncles went down to the local recruiting station and signed up for the United States Navy. With distinguished honor, they served on the U.S. battleship USS Alabama against the naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. I had the honor of meeting them both before they passed away. I had also, at a local bookstore, met a man who had served against the Germans, who had fought against the Germans, got captured by them, sent to a prisoner of war camp, where he was subject to constant beatings and called "verdammte Amerikaner Schwein." I had also met other World War II veterans before that and after. When those men saw the war end in 1945, they thought, hopefully we will never see fascism again. Unfortunately, that has happened. And I am not referring to neo-Nazi groups wishing to target and hurt and murder minorities. We are referring to fascism in the United States government. Donald Trump is the poster boy for fascism. I thought, in my teen years, I thought George Bush was a fascist with the Patriot Act. That was just proto-fascism masked in the flag of patriotism. Donald Trump makes George Bush look like a choir boy when it comes to fascism. I have seen presidents do things I don't agree with, but never was it ever so horrifying in what Donald Trump does. We have a coronavirus that has killed 130,000 Americans, and Trump has done nothing but shift blame. He has done nothing to help Americans. He has done nothing to contain the virus. And only today, July 13th, 2020, has he finally worn a mask without immediately taking it off, like he did the last time. But still, he has done nothing to stop COVID-19. He is ordering that schools open during a pandemic, and summer hasn't even ended yet. And also, instead of saying we will get through this, he just assigns blame and peddles conspiracy theories. We also have civil unrest after the murder of George Floyd by police. While George Floyd is not the sole cause for all the civil unrest, he was the catalyst that finally sent things over the edge. For too long, blacks and poor people have been targeted, persecuted, harassed, and murdered by the police, and little is done to punish the officers. And when we finally rise up and 98% of them peacefully protest, what does Trump do? He harps about the 2% that do some violence and looting and rioting, which aren't the case anymore. That was more in the beginning by anarchists taking advantage of the situation. He harps on that constantly and always sides with the police and has threatened fascist tactics on peaceful protesters, myself included. I took part in 3 of the protests. This president had tear gas shot at peaceful protesters so that he could stand in front of a church he doesn't go to and hold up a Bible he doesn't read for a photo op. He has threatened to sic the military on peaceful protesters, which is illegal. He has threatened to use the Insurrection Act of 1807, which was created to repress slave uprisings. This president could use his power as the president of these United States to encourage unity, peace, and calmness. Instead, he sows divisions, fans the flames of hatred, and peddles conspiracy theories, and does not accept responsibility for any of his failures. A true president accepts responsibility for their failures. Obama did, Bush did, Clinton did, Kennedy did after Bay of Pigs. President Kennedy, the best president we've ever had, accepted responsibility for the Bay of Pigs. He could have covered it up. He could have said it wasn't me, it was the CIA. Or it wasn't me, it was the Cuban exiles. But he took responsibility. Trump has not taken responsibility for anything. I'm pretty sure he hasn't taken responsibility for anything in his life. This man is incapable of admitting he is wrong. That is a dangerous person who refuses to ever accept responsibility, who refuses to say, I was wrong. This man drew on a map, weather map, just to avoid admitting he was wrong. That is straight narcissism. Psychopathic narcissism. This man, he treats dissent as opposition. He treats disagreement as personal attacks against him. He responds to corrections of fact with personal attacks on Twitter. I don't like George Bush. I don't. But I have never seen a president act this way, like a petulant child throwing a tantrum when the Supreme Court said you have to turn over your taxes to the New York State. Donald Trump is the most immature and most narcissistic and fascist president I've ever seen. He could be running on fixing the country from coronavirus, but you know what he's campaigning on? Culture war statues. I have my problems with Joe Biden, but I know that he would not fan the flames of hate or division. I have my criticisms of Biden, which include corruption and centrist status quo bias. But the one thing that Biden has over Trump, he has the ability to feel empathy. Trump cares only about himself. This is our World War II. Our great-grandfathers, if you're a 90s kid, or our ancestors, our forefathers, fought against the Nazis of Germany, Italy, and Japan. We have to fight against the fascists of America. And I'm not encouraging violence, but what I'm saying is we have to vote this man out of office, and we have to vote out those who enable him. That is our fight. This is our World War II. This is our fight against fascism. Excuse me. Now, obviously, it will not be as glorious as the World War II of the 40s. But this is just as important. They fought the fascists with the sword. We fight with the ballot. Now, I ask everyone to not specifically vote Democrat or for Biden, but vote with your conscience. Do not vote for Trump. Don't vote for his lackeys. And the establishment will only have the White House for 4 more years. If Trump wins, unfortunately, he will be term limited. If Biden wins, we will hold him accountable to his I will only serve 1 term pledge. And we can replace him with Tulsi Gabbard. Bernie Sanders, unfortunately, due to his age, will not run again. But we will carry the torch that Bernie Sanders given us, just like many people carried the torch that President Kennedy left when he died. This is our fight. This is our World War II. Thank you. Thank you for listening. May God bless you, and may God bless America.